Welcome back to Hartford. It's been a long, hard day full of intense duels, but we finally reached the finish line of day one. It's round 9 here at YCS Hartford.
I'm so excited to see how this day is going to finish. We have an incredible match lined up for you guys. Match that you probably haven't seen yet. These decks, some familiar, some a little new, but still a little familiar, I'd say. Some interesting strategies for sure. What are your thoughts on these two decks we have in front of us?
Yeah, so this first one we haven't seen in quite a long time, ever since a certain disease monster was limited to 1. But this particular deck has gotten a little bit of help from the most recent FNL list in terms of fire formation tanking, moving from 1 back to 2. And what deck might that be? Well, it's our good friend Tri-Brigade Lyralist, and it'll be going up against a new version of the Synchro Combo deck that debuted in Charlotte right now. All right. So first up, we have Juan from Elizabeth, New Jersey. His favorite card is Trickstar Candida, a searcher that's a lot more useful now that you have a second copy of the Light Stave. And he's going up against Cristain Urena from Reading, Pennsylvania, whose favorite card may cause a little bit of consternation among other duelists. It's Artifact Scythe, a card that he will hope to employ to great effect in this duel.
I think he won a lot of points with the dance, though.
I'll have to sound off on whether or not that erases his sins.
His opponent picked Candina. I don't think Candina's ever been used for good.
I was talking about Scythe.
You know, same thing, right? The slow burn or the instant loss, whichever one you're feeling.
I kind of like the slow burn.
Oh.
I like the slow burn a little bit.
A little sadistic, huh?
Yeah, stuff like Masquerade, Chain Energy. So back when I was in, back when I lived in Pittsburgh, growing up and that sort of thing, there was a guy at my locals who always played burn. A lot of chain burn, stealth bursts, wave motion cannons, chain energies. So that's the style of play I got used to very quickly.
So is there like a nostalgia for you when you play against these cards?
Yeah, you could say that. It's one of those things, like, I know exactly what to do in these situations, so it's not really an issue for me. But for a lot of duelists who never really have those kinds of constraints on you, so it can be a little more difficult in these situations. And I think that's part of why Masquerade gives people so many problems, and why they, they'll make those plays to go, we'll just throw 2 out, we'll have 1,200. Because 600, that's not enough. That's not enough to make them think. Things like that.
Oh yeah, you have to play less efficiently, oddly enough, when you're up against a Masquerade. You can't try to get all the value out of your cards, otherwise you'll just be taking like an extra, 1,800 that you didn't need. And that's the kind of little things that does that up, but neither of these players will have to deal with that this round.
Nope. What they would have to deal with is a lot of synchro summoning and a lot of link summoning. And, well, things that look like link summons.
Potentially a lot of excuse summons as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, losing those 2 copies of the Starling can be a little bit of trouble, but maybe the additional search card is going to help balance it out. And the extra pot of desires as well, just to get more cards.
Yeah, you mentioned that it got a bit of a boost from the Forbidden and Limited list, getting a copy of Tenki back, but you can also argue that it got a hit in losing Anaconda.
That's true. That's true.
You have to wonder, what kind of end field is it going for? Is it going to be something similar to what it was previously? We'll have to see in Game 1 of the final round of Day 1.
I think the telling thing is going to be whether or not we see a revolt. That sort of thing.
Well, just looking at the list, it might not be all that popular.
Not so much. Well, that'll be interesting then. Starts off with Lyralist Bird Call. Now, they can still use the Utopic Draco Future stuff, which is always quite powerful. But they also don't have Samorg anymore as well, so the Wind Barrier statue is generally out of the question.
I honestly forgot that card was banned, and that just made me happy a little bit, knowing that I don't have to deal with that card anymore. A nice little reminder. Not the ideal opening with Bird Call as well, having to use the Feral Canary, not being able to get the Recital Starling off here. Or not the Recital Starling. You will get the Recital Starling, but not the... I always get these a little bit messed up. The Cobalt Sparrow. Cobalt Sparrow, yeah. I had them memorized back when they were extra relevant.
Right.
Oh,
no, straight for the Robin. Okay.
Very interesting. Might be a weaker hand.
That's a pretty simple hand. Simple start. 2 face-down cards and a Robin with 2 materials.
Right. If Christian has to force his way through with special summons, though, that summon room could be a problem. Leading with something along the lines of Rider Remus here is not something you really want to do right now. You might have to sacrifice your battle phase just to get through it.
Absolutely. You don't want that token to just vanish.
Now, how many attack points does he get per material?
It's 500 per material, but also some of the Lyralists will also granted an extra 200 per material or something like that.
Yeah, I do believe Barrel Canary is one of them that does give it an additional boost. So we're looking at 1,200 here. Enchantress does have 15, though.
She's got enough. And it's only special summons that Ensemble Robin can deal with.
Going to be able to get that hit in there. Ensemble is able to add back the Barrel Canary from the graveyard now.
So there will be a follow-up. And the Enchantress only banishes from hand or field, so she's just there. She's stuck in there.
Wait, hand or graveyard, you mean?
Hand or graveyard, yes.
Specifically not from
hand or graveyard, not from field. That's the point I'm going for. Gets back to Warbler.
Oh, interesting. I guess that also makes sense. And to an empty field, having that Warbler Cyber Dragon effect, being able to just put yourself on the field, someone went back from hand or graveyard, could be stronger. There is a Rider Remus here, though. No Enchantress needed.
Enchantress and right. All right.
To be fair, I think that actually did prove very useful for Juan here. Having to normal some of the Enchantress when it could have just been free, had there been something along the lines of a tuner or even just a Red Rose Dragon immediately, this could have been way worse for Juan. And now I think Christian has to struggle a little bit more to find something of value to really put on the field now that his normal summon has already been committed.
Foolish Burial helps, though.
That is a pretty good one, all things considered. I think we might see... Oh, Destrudo. That is a card I forgot about it, too.
Yep, Destrudo came back. Oh, 2 lists ago?
Yeah, along with...
Go with Snow.
Yeah. This is just playing all the cards that reminded us how broken this game used to be. There's going to be a copy of Jet Synchron and Snow in this list as well.
Yep, Jet Synchron, another thing that was freed up off the FNL list last time. With the demise of Auroradon, of course. We don't want to get too crazy.
So, Cristain Urena paying the hefty price of half of his life points at this point, going down to 4,000, making the Destrudo level 4 to add up to 7 with the Water Enchantress. I imagine he will be potentially going for a copy of Halki Fibrax?
Seems very likely. Could use the Ash Blossom Hunt that's on the Fateful Adventure to stop him from adding the Wandering Griffin Rider.
Yeah, so this is going to cut off Christian from getting to access to Baron de Fleur when he goes Fiber for Red Rose, but he's still going to be able to go into Shooting Riser or potentially just any other 7. Or go straight into Yahtzee. Yeah, he's going to skip that step. Just going to be able to go after one of those sets, not trying to commit into a potential infinite impermanence when you don't need to.
Exactly. The Yahtzee can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects.
Now, Cristain Urena would be very, very upset if it was, in fact, a copy of Forbidden Drop set instead.
We'll see.
Oh, it sounds like it's resolving. Oh,
yep,
it is
the impermanence.
Right.
All right, so we're going to summon Mari.
Another favorite. Oh, a lot of cards reminiscent of 2019 here. We got the Destrudo, we have the Mari.
So you're talking back when Thunder Dragon Colossus was around, and you were playing like the Second Light kind of deck.
Oh, that was my favorite deck to roam.
Impermanence 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
All right. Well,
he still has access to Halki Fibrax here.
Yeah, still got a tuner. And that's the other thing, because he doesn't have the Wandering Griffin Rider, it's like, do I really need to keep this token on the field when I could just get another right next turn and try it again?
I'm surprised there was no Draco back at all in that sequence. What was Ashed exactly? Was it the effect to add the Draco back, or was it the effect to add the Griffin Rider? Because would the Draco back not have been used to try to go after one of the sets? But I suppose there's no reason to, if you do assume that they're both infinite impermanents, in which case they will be used from the hand regardless.
Yeah. So we got, that's Foxy Tune coming up next. Now we're getting into the punk section of the deck. We've seen the adventurers. Now let's see the punks.
Yeah, so this actually works out really well here if you're able to just use this, summon a punk from deck, and just make a Halki Fibrax with most likely the Mare.
Oh, there's the Draco back. So it was the search for the Griffin Rider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pushing heads up play, likely assumed both of them were infinite permanents, no reason to try to put one back in the hand, they're just going to use it from the hand.
So they've got the same record. They probably have the same record for a lot of the day. I wonder if they already knew, like sat next to each other and kind of saw what each other was playing, or maybe knows what the trap lineup is.
It's very possible that they know they're playing. Knowing the trap lineup, that would be pretty intense, especially since, even if they are both at 2 losses, that's quite a wide field of players, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's super likely. I wouldn't bet on it, at least. But, I mean, it's within reason, I suppose.
It seems like kind of a tough read. It's like, oh yeah, no, those are both impermanents, not like imperm D-barrier, something like that.
Do you think the Game 1 dimensional barrier is that popular?
That I don't know. I think it would be. If you think that you're going to play against a bunch of fully dedicated fusion decks and fully dedicated synchro decks, then I think I might go with that.
It's definitely a risk, but I think dimensional barrier was a card that would have been used already, and he knew that.
Yeah. Also true to get the Ozzy. So we got Alka-Fibrax and the newly limited Red Rose Dragon. The main thing the limitation does is stop you from just drawing it and normal summoning it.
Yeah, it actually is quite problematic, more so than you think, because you're able to summon that Baron before summon 5. So you're whenever something along the lines of Nibiru would be activated, Baron is simply there to meet it. The alternative, when you're able to do it past the point of Alka-Fibrax, is at least forces the Wandering Griffin Rider, so you're no longer able to have the Baron on the field. Unfortunately, you are still able to do the remaining part of the combo that doesn't have the Baron on necessary for it, but that's a little more restrictive because that usually means you're not trying to pop a Yazi because you don't have anything to pop the Yazi.
So we got Rock's Rose Dragon from the Red Rose Dragon, and off of Shooting Riser Dragon, another copy of Water Enchantress is sent to the graveyard, and Rock's Rose Dragon searches out Basil Rose Shoot. Normally on the your turn Shooting Riser Dragons, I feel like we usually see snow on those. We save the Water Enchantress for if you're doing it on the opponent's turn.
Yeah, that usually does make the most amount of sense. There might be a world where Christian decided he doesn't want to play snow because it only comes up in certain scenarios. But, that would be breaking my heart, personally. But I can understand it. I'm not happy about it.
Right. He link summons Artifact Scythe using, I believe, his token and Rock's Rose Dragon.
Yep, and then that is the side block we mentioned earlier, being able to activate that Alka-Fibrax in the main phase, going to be able to chain the Dagda, put the Scythe on the field. The Wandering Magician will be able to trigger going after that Scythe. So he has that play available to him as soon as main phase is reached.
All right. Losing both impermanences there, I think, really hurt. Because if he has one of them left in his hand, maybe he has a shot at breaking it up. Because there were no other disruptions on that field, so maybe he can make a comeback there. Not so much if you don't have your influence.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed like a hand where you almost would have preferred to go second because it was so weak at the start, and having to commit the resources simply to not immediately get blown out. It's one of those situations where it's less than ideal, right? You don't expect to have those kind of situations. If you had the foresight to look at your hand before you got to choose, I think you would have probably picked to go second, but it's just unlucky, right? When you have those opening hands where you didn't see any Tri-Brigade monsters, you did see your Littlest Engine, but nothing to really make of it. But it was able to keep you alive, but not enough to stop from just losing to the board that was going to be made after the fact.
And it wasn't really, like, you couldn't get the most out of those cards anyway. You couldn't get a thing in the graveyard from Barrel Canary first. It's just a tough way to start off the match. But, that's why you play best of 3. You got 2 more shots at it. And for these 2 games, the players will have access to their side decks as well. And, I don't know that I'm deciding anything in particular for Tri-Brigade or Barrelist if I come to this event.
Yeah, that was exactly my question that I was going to ask you, is assuming that you're Christian here, what goes in your side deck for this matchup? What could you possibly have?
I think it's just, so you're using the Shooting Riser stuff, right? So you're probably going to run Necro World Banshee and Zombie World in your side deck, and you might just make a Shooting Riser, dump Necro World, and then use it on your opponent's turn, bring out Zombie World, and make it so you can't use any of your Wing Beast specific things, or any of the Tri-Brigades really, because they have to banish cards of the correct, the Tri-Beast types as well. So a Zombie World could cause a lot of problems here.
Yeah, I think Zombie World going first does a lot of damage. When you think you're going second to the field, though, would you side that in as well?
Only in terms of, like, I want a lot of removal with it. I need to be able to blow up whatever they whatever they did the first time, and then slap down the zombie world before they can play the follow-up. Because a lot of the Tri-Brigade stuff, all those cards replace themselves. Sure, it gets, another thing. But the Lyralists constantly refill your hand. Because there's another wave coming. So if you can't clear out the first wave, you're going to lose anyways. So you might as well try to clear out the first wave and then slap down the zombie world so there can't be a second one.
Okay. I also think without the some more border sovereignty, as well as like everything else that came along with that original end board, Mystic Mind is a lot more prominent. And that's a card that people are playing for everything else in the format. I think that could be like one card that has a lot of overlap in this situation.
Yep.
The Lyralist Tri-Brigade deck has access to, as we mentioned, Utopic Future Draco, but that doesn't interact with spell cards. So potentially if he has this end board of like Appaloosa, that as well, or the bounce in Double Dragon Lords, none of those will be able to really interact with Mystic Mind, and that might be the winning ticket for Cristain Urena here.
And then for Juan, another card that we didn't see in the first game, but that's really quite good here, is good old Harpy's Featherstorm. You don't need Harpies for it, you just need a Wind-Winged Beast. And that's one of those cards that can get you a bunch of extra turns to do your stuff when you're playing one of these decks.
Yeah, absolutely. That is probably the card you fear the most when you're playing against any Wing B strategy, especially like even Flu Under. Like, it doesn't really matter what they're doing. If they flip that card, that likely means you are skipping your turn as soon as it resolves. But I guess, again, the best strategy to have against something like that is if they're going to skip your turn, you might as well skip all of their turns and just activate Mystic Mind.
Alright, so it looks like they are making their final choices here.
Yeah, making a lot of careful decisions here. We are at the very last round of day one of Swiss, so they want to be really careful here. They want to really think through everything, not make sure no missteps, not miss anything, if anything. Both a little obscure. I don't think, especially for Christian's side, he doesn't expect to play Lyralist Tri-Brigade at all. Maybe Juan expected to play against the Adventure Synchro strategy, but it's still not the things you went into the tournament expecting to see.
And this is a tough one. They're both at 6 wins and 2 losses right now. So if you lose here, you only have 18 points. You're not going to make it. If you can at least salvage a draw, 19 points, you should make it. It's either Dual Duelist with 19 points or 128, whichever is greater. And, it's dangerous doing math, especially live on camera at, round 9 of a tournament. But I suspect there are slightly more than 128 people that are going to have 19 points or more. So you can't lose this match.
Yeah, this is definitely an elimination match of sorts for these players. I don't think either of them would be all that happy with the draw either. I guess it wouldn't change their end result. They just have to gamble versus feeling particularly safe going into the rest of the tournament if you're able to stay at X2.
Yeah, 21 points is a totally different beast than 19.
Okay.
But either way, you definitely just don't want to walk away with a loss here. A really high stress situation for them. It's a great thing they can't hear us. So we don't put all the pressure on them.
Alright, it does look like Juan's going first in game 2.
Stand by this. Make this.
Here we go.
That's a lot better. That's definitely a good start.
A good one.
Let's see if he goes for a Tri-Brigade monster or if he sends the
Just Nerval. So no kit here.
Yeah,
I think no kit at all.
Yeah, I guess Kit is not really necessarily a card you need in that list. It was only useful for sending potentially a Tri-Brigade Oak, or, as the format, they got new cards, Tri-Brigade Mer Courier, but again, you're not playing Branded Fusion anymore because there's no access to Anaconda. Let's see if Cristain Urena has a response.
Ooh, he's got Valor.
Yep, nice and Starlight Effect Veiler for that Fractal. Ooh. A disappointing just one lone set for Juan here into Christian's 5-card hand. Activating Rite of Aramis here could be backbreaking. Does he have it to lead? I did see a copy of Emergency Teleport as well, so a Rite of Aramis here can just clear his way and just start getting his combo going.
He started with Foolish Burial, which is good enough.
That gets there. That counts.
It's good enough.
We might be met with an Ashed, however, but if there is not one, the Rite of Aramis here can go a very long way. That's acceptable.
There we go.
That is acceptable. Not exactly the card we were talking about, but it functions the same.
There we go. Rare case that it'll function the same way, but this is it. That's the case. Okay. Teleport is up next. That does resolve.
able to go into the entire synchro line of plays, but without the safety net right now.
Yep. Ziamon's up first. Pays 600 life to add another punk.
Almost certainly Foxy Tune,
Yep.
if you don't already have it.
Probably Deer Note if he does.
Again, through his deck here. Looks like he is looking for that Deer
Deer
Note.
Note.
Yes.
Practically the same effect as Foxy Tune, just getting rid of one from your hand to summon the other.
Next up,
Yeah, there is the Foxy Tune in his hand.
Yes. There now, I thought.
So it's likely going to some. Do you think he's going to go straight into Halky Fireworks, or do you think he's going to try to go for a little bit more mid-range and pick up the Chaos Ruler because it's a lot safer into the potential one mystery set?
I feel like he's spent a lot of cards already this turn, and he's going to need to recoup. I would probably recoup here.
All right. Let's see if he goes. Oh, he said Synchro Summon. There he is.
There it is.
You know, in a format filled with Sword Soul, I feel like I've seen this card Synchro Summon the most.
Yeah, because so many different decks are making it, right? It's not just Dragon Link, it's all the punk decks as well.
Those are some good options. You know what's cool? He actually hasn't activated Enchantress yet.
It's not.
That was a really solid Chaos Ruler.
That's pretty good.
Oh.
The crowd agrees.
Yeah. Cristain Urena's too nice right now. We did also see another copy of Nibiru in his hand, so having that copy of Effect Dealer and Nibiru into Juan's potential backup play, this is going to be pretty backbreaking one way or the other.
Activates the right next. Here's our token. In attack position this time.
Oh yeah, he knows. He's going to be the aggressor this turn. I feel like every time you have a battle phase, that token goes in attack. When you told me I get a 2,000 attack token, I'm trying to put that card in attack mode as much as I can.
Yep. This isn't the one-time passcode. It's like,
Yep.
Draco back bounces.
Yeah, being able to use that here a lot more efficient, simply because if it wasn't impermanence, there is a monster on the field blocking it from being used in hand. But also, if it wasn't impermanence, there's no way I was not hitting the Chaos Ruler, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a card I cannot allow to resolve. Discarding the Nibiru here. Looks like we're getting the Griffin.
Yeah, I don't think Juan's going to be summoning 5 times. Not this turn, anyway.
So now it's a matter of how he goes into the Healthy Firebracks. Will he give up the token for it? Oh no, he just gives up, of course, the Chaos Rule. He doesn't need that on the field.
Yeah, and you could just bring it back anyways.
Yeah, no need. And this is essentially just as much combo as he wants. Going after the...
Oh, he's not even leaving Griffin Rider on the field.
Absolutely not. No need. When you can just summon the Baron, get the same effect, and then able to just lean your way forward. He's going to be able to summon another level 3, going into Rock's Rose, get the Basil Rose shoot, and then he has options, right? He can go into Yazi, or he can just go into Shooting Riser. He has the Baron pop. Honestly, like, a lot of the damage is just represented right here, with the Chaos Ruler coming back.
Absolutely. Man, Chaos Ruler is so good. So good.
You know, we talked a little bit about cards that feel the best to resolve. That has to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
You get so much value for one card. It's so incredible.
Excavation effects in general, going all the way back to things like Cyber Jar, for instance. You mean I get to look at 5 cards? Oh, I get them all? But the jars is really where this kind of thing first started, where you get just a massive, card injection into the game state. It's just with Chaos Ruler, it's all for you.
It's all for you, and it has 3,000 attack, and it comes back. Why not? Why not a modern jar for the modern man? Yep, he sees it. This is just plenty of damage. And Cristain Urena walks away with a quick victory against the Lyrilla strategy, showing why Adventure Synchro is still one of the top contenders in this tournament.
Huge win in the finals. And fast enough to get dinner after this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a really good look at the new adventure kind of punk version of the synchro deck. I like what we saw quite a bit out of all that. Chaos Ruler, just all day, it's kind of been an MVP for everybody who played it. It's just been one of those things that can turn the tide of the game, or can lock in a strong position if you're already going for it, or spark a comeback. You need to get it out of the graveyard and do something else with it. It's just Chaos Ruler and people winning games.
Yeah.
Is the name more iconic too.